I'm Tony Kornheiser, and they were made by Louis Carnesecca, who we love.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We
He
do.
may not think you love him because you take more shots.
I love him.
You take
he
those
knows
big shots.
I love him. He knows.
He does.
We go back a long way.
He has
Someday
good
they'll be
stories
saying that
about
about
you.
us,
I won't
by
tell
the way.
him. I can't
Yes,
share
he
them, but he
does.
has good stories about you, and you
Yes, he
know
does.
what they are.
And they're true. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Knicks win, Caitlin Clark struggles, and Tim Legler joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Denver Nuggets cruising past Minnesota last night, 112-97, to take a 3-2 lead in their series. That's 3 wins in a row for Denver, and the first home court win in the entire series. Nikola Jokic had 40 points on 15 of 22 shooting. Anthony Edwards had just 18 points on 5 of 15 shooting. Wilbon, you were bullish on Minnesota last week. How do you explain this turnaround?
Yeah, Tony, the turnaround came in Game 3. It came real quick. I mean, Game 5, there's no turnaround now. The turnaround, we saw it coming. Those of us who had to say, oh, my God, I was wrong. And it's largely because of Nikola Jokic. Not only because of Nikola Jokic. The entire team had a role. I mean, you know, Aaron Gordon's been close to perfect. Jamal Murray has been back to his great self after like a game and a half of where is he. Michael Malone has been a motivational master. But there was a point last night, Tony, where Jokic, the MVP, for those of us who thought, okay, maybe we need some confirmation of Jokic's MVP this third time. He had a stretch where he made moves that included a little skyhook off glass. And it was like, oh, my God, is he going Kareem? And then he had some footwork with his back to the basket and spinning around that made him look like Tim Duncan. And then he had some in the open court against Rudy Gobert, the defensive player of the year, where he looked like Akeem Olajuwon did a dream shake. And you're like, no. Oh, no. You know, he can't have all that and make passes like Bill Walton. It was a stunning performance. And so there's a lot of places where they just eclipsed Minnesota. But you got to start with the MVP who received his award last night, I think.
Yeah. You know, I will just say this. The series feels like it's over. I agree with you. It felt like it was over after Game 3. In the last 3 games, Denver has outscored Minnesota by 50 points. That's just too many points. I want to talk about 2 players. I want to talk about Jokic and Anthony Edwards. I'm going to start with Jokic, who last night had 40 points and 13 assists. And you mentioned Rudy Gobert. Gobert, the defensive player of the year, 4 or 5 times and this year. When he was the primary defender, Jokic went 8 of 9 on him. He ate his lunch, right? Yeah. Jokic plays 41 minutes. He has no turnovers. Our friend Shaquille O'Neal can lobby all he wants for anyone he wants for MVP. Because, Mike, MVP is not necessarily the best player. This guy, Jokic, is the best basketball player in the world right now, and I know you agree with that.
No
Anthony Edwards, he's a great talent. I want to stop the comparisons to Michael Jordan. I guess Michael Jordan had games like this, but in a 2-2 series in a Game 5, to go 5 of 15 and 1 of 5 from 3, let's just stop that comparison. This thing at the moment belongs to Jokic.
Oh, it belongs to Jokic, no doubt, Tony. Not only is he the MVP, he is the best player in the world. And Anthony, believe me, I was around courtside for enough of Michael Jordan's games early on when he was 22 years old. They went about often, and he'd be the first to tell you, like Anthony Edwards' game did last night. So people forgot those. I haven't. They happened. But Jokic, and more Jokic. Over in the East, the Knicks bounced back, blew out the Pacers by 30. Jalen Brunson had 44. While the Knicks defense held the Pacers to just 91 total points. Just the other day, the Knicks appeared totally spent. So, Tony, what does last night's result say to you?
It says to me only that the Knicks are now up 3-2 in games. I don't see any great metaphor here. Jalen Brunson is the headline because he had 44 points in this game. Mike, in the 7 playoff games the Knicks have won this year, he's got 22, 24, 47, 41, 43, 29, and 44. In the last 5 games the Knicks have won this year, he's averaging 41. So his scoring appears linked to the Knicks' success. And then last night, it was rebounding as well. The Knicks out-rebounded Indiana last night 53-29. On the offensive end, it was 20-5, which meant that second chance points were 26-9 in favor of the Knicks. And that's why at the end of the game, Rick Carlisle said this was very embarrassing, because that's what happened. The Knicks thoroughly beat them.
They did, Tony. And so everything you said about the Knicks is, let me just rubber stamp that, and let me move over to Indiana. Rick Carlisle played for tough teams. He played with Larry Bird and Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and Dennis Johnson and Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics. Rick Carlisle knows a thing or two about toughness. As a coach, he coached it. He had that in Dallas with Jason Kidd, Dirk Nowitzki. He doesn't have it now. And he's not going to say that. He can't say it. I'm saying it. It was unbelievable how soft, physically and mentally, the Indiana Pacers were last night, one game after trashing the Knicks. The Knicks were exhausted in game, 4? They were exhausted. They were injured. They could not physically rally themselves to even barely be awake in that game, and we understood that. But, Tony, last night, the Pacers offered no resistance at some point. That is why, to me, if I was able to ask him, Rick Carlisle would say he was embarrassed. What, the Pacers, seriously? And Draymond Green talked about this on the Turner telecast postgame. They didn't even begin to run through screens and exert themselves and spend the kind of physical energy you have to expend in a late in the series playoff game. So this series is over too. The Pacers don't have it. Tony,
I'm not sure of that.
It's over. The Knicks are going to go into Indiana in Game 6 and win Game 6 in that series. Okay.
I think the Pacers will win that particular game. I do. We move now to Caitlin Clark's WNBA regular season debut last night. She and the Indiana Fever were beaten decisively in Connecticut by the Sun, 92-71. Clark missed her first 4 shots, had no points in the first quarter, only 7 by halftime. She finished with 20 points and also 10 turnovers, an inglorious double-double. Wilbon, you and I both watched the game and texted during it. What did you make of Clark's debut?
Well, Tony, there's so much to make of it. And, you know, sadly, the conversation nationally will be about just the numbers. And the numbers do matter, particularly the 10 turnovers. But as you and I talked about this game like sort of old-fashioned sports writers, one of your texts just said she is in way over her head at the moment. It'll take some time. And, of course, I had the same thought. And she may get there. Hope she gets there. She may not. But these other players, as you said, bigger, faster, stronger, at least as talented, more experience. I mean, you know, you look at a game. I look at a game last night with Asia Wilson in another game. Asia Wilson's so much better than Caitlin Clark. They're not to be compared yet. And I understand the moment, the historic level of interest Caitlin Clark has brought to women's basketball. All of that is to be credited. Yeah. But now we're in pro basketball. And the women in that league don't have to care about that. Some may not. But she's not ready for that yet. So it's like, let's check back. I'll check back in June